So much happened, particularly from people saying how shocked they were to see how clean it was, how easy it was, how wide ranging it was, and how much happened for them when they weren't even in the hot seat, that they could just feel it all going out. And everybody wants more. So I have a surprise about that in a little bit. But let me turn it over and see if there's any, do you have any welcoming words or any words you would like us to know, Peter, just as you bring yourself into the room today? Is there
Well,
anything you want
thank
people to
you,
know?
but I'd like to first of all thank all of you for your active responses. I mean, I'm very humbled and thankful for that. And I can only assure you, you know, Wendy's initiative, I think it's an enormous contribution you're making for the wider world, as your willingness to have this work go out wider has always been my vision. So I'm very, very grateful to each and every one of you. Thank you.
Oh, and thank you. And it thrills me too. And I love that. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn that we started a little movement as we're used to doing in our community, right? So Naja, after this, said, you know what, this was a pretty good idea and this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And Peter is multilingual. Peter's amazing. So it was Naja's idea to say, well, why don't we extend this into other countries and in a couple other languages? And she let me know yesterday, I think, that you've already begun that. That ball is already rolling, you know, to begin to find the people, to put it in place, to collect what needs to happen, to have German-speaking people and French-speaking people, because you are fluent in all these languages and can do the reclamation work there. So then a wider range of people will have access to your work. And that makes me so profoundly happy. I can hardly sit still in my chair. So excellent. So that's pat everybody, pat yourself on the back, because you are all part of that. We're all an integral cog in this little bit of movement that the universe has put into motion, and you're each an enormous contribution, whether you speak today or you don't speak today. Your heart, we can feel it. We're glad you're here. Your consciousness is a contribution. Your comments in the chat are a contribution, and all of it supports whatever is to happen today, which is another gift to the world, I'm sure. So, oh, and someone says, I'm seeing in the note, Jackson, who I'm not sure, he was in a class that you were there. Thank you, whoever just put that in. He just talked with Tim Malnick, I think, Peter. So I'm seeing that in and I'm sure that we love Tim. I did the money workshop with Tim after I learned about you from Charlie. So see the ripples, the ripples that people do that they have no idea that they're doing. So, oh, and Naja's on. How are you not in the, let me see.
I am.
Naja, sweet woman. Hi, it's so wonderful to see you.
Oh, you guys.
I'm sorry, I already told people you had your second shot and you're not feeling wonderful.
Actually, it's the first one, but I'm
sorry.
Like I'm going through full-blown menopause right now of these hot cold flashes. So every 5 minutes I'm taking my scarf on and off, and so I'm gonna love you and leave you. I just wanted to also really honor you, Wendy, because I think it's so amazing reading all of these testimonials that you guys have given is a testimony truly to the depth of this community. Yeah. And I'm more than excited, Wendy, for us to continue playing together. So you will reveal that later, I guess.
Yes.
Hope to see some of you in that space.
Oh.
So, and Peter, thank you so much. It was we just spent 2 hours together, Peter and myself, in a supervision call. So he has been on the go nonstop.
Wow, yeah. I forgot that. Wow. Well, blessings. Go get some good rest. We love you. Mwah. And thank you. Okay, yes, bye. Bye. And thank you also to Peter, that I forgot that you just came off 2 hours and it's your nighttime. Look at you go. You have the energy of a 20-year-old. I swear to God, it's a fantastic thing.
I'm trying to catch up with Jean Houston, who's in your area.
Yes. You know, I haven't seen Jean Houston do anything in a long time, but she's a firecracker. She have tons of energy. Jean Houston.
She's 84 and she says she feels she's in a body of a 35-year-old. Well, I'm not quite like that, but anyway.
Good model. Somebody for us to model. So, all right. Well, let's take a moment, everyone, to drop in. Oh, thank you. Here come folks, and we really appreciate you carving time out of your busy day, even on a work day. So again, I'm humbled and I'm grateful, and we're up to big things, and I could perceive whatever has begun here is going out to touch humanity and impact humanity in a positive way, and what else is possible today. So let's take a moment to just drop in and center into our bodies, taking a moment to tune inward and settle in and settle down, breathing into the belly and just noticing how wonderful it can feel to be supported by gravity, which is your birthright. Just a quick momentary reminder that you can just be and not try. Turn off the striving. In this time together, there's nothing that we need to do to earn our worth or earn anything at all. It's the birthright of every human to experience and have access to all the little mirrors on the disco ball, thousands and thousands of possibilities. And it's the birthright of every human to be supported as we are right now. And that's a great reminder to feel your bum in the chair, to feel your feet solidly on the floor if that's where they are, to just notice that life and the universe has your back without you needing to plead for it, try, earn it, work, effort, or anything else. Just relaxing into that support, your back against your chair. Big deep breaths and go, oh, thank God, I forgot this. I forgot that I was supported. I'm supported all the time by life. And you might notice also that life, there's a little bit more of an open channel right now for life to communicate with you. The oneness, the all that is, that's always trying to get our attention in the most beautiful ways, has more access when we let go like this and we just surrender a little bit, and a little bit of gratitude, definitely not projecting into the future, as Peter would say, and not projecting back into the past, but just being open in this present moment to see what might be possible. That's the easiest way to get the benefit of this beautiful work we're about to embark on together. And I know that some of you are very hungry. We got the letters, so people had a huge kind of a flame rising up of, we want more. How do we get more of this? What do I do? Well, we have today, and again, the invitation is to just release and let go and hold that lightly, as we talked about, rather than he's got to talk to me. No, what if you're what I said on day one? What if you could get all the best benefit in the best possible way? Would you be willing to get it if it came as you were listening to someone else and you let the wave pass through you and the awareness happen? So that's also an invitation. Thank you. I wanted to remind everybody in my tribe, I'm so used to this, one of the innocent things that can occur, particularly on the last day of an event like this, is that hunger can well up from those really innocent young parts, like, I gotta get my healing. And sometimes I think when people get in the chair, they forget, oh, right, this isn't a private one-on-one with Wendy or Wendy and Peter. This is a group call. So I'm just reminding us to set our expectations that even though we're looking at magic, we're only looking to take a layer off today. We're not looking to try and solve an entire life of something. So perhaps one of the things that might occur is we might move forward even more swiftly with hot seats. That's something that sometimes happens when Peter does this work, because you all have a little familiarity. So there's that. I think I'm going to drop this little secret right here, Peter. So announcement day, dun dun, right, drum roll. After day 2 of this last week, I was so sure that something next needed to be born, and I really went inside to see what was next. And after listening to the feedback and reading the chat of what came in, what was biggest in my tribe. So I knew that I was going to start a class, and that class is starting in 2.5 weeks on Tuesday mornings, starting May 18th. It'll run from May 18th to July 13th. And from 10:30 a.m. until noon, might run over a little bit once in a while. And I put the call out to Peter and Nadia, not actually expecting it, but I said, would either of you like to play? And both of them said that they would play. So Peter would be coming in to visit one time, and Nadia would be coming in to visit 2 times. And then in our perhaps 9 times together. It's an 8-week course, and I'll just spill that now too at the end. I think this will be my new practice to say anyone that wants to send us feedback can have an extra day of coaching. So we're looking at something like 14 hours or so of reclamation, but Naja is going to co-host this with me, and we'll be doing reclamations for those 9 weeks together. And the topic that we're going to primarily focus on is visibility, as in our issue about shining. Can I be visible in the world? Is it safe for me to show up? Or all my feelings around hiding? So visibility, and as it pertains to body image, weight, and appearance. So woohoo! And we feel like these are very personal issues. This is definitely stuff I've been looking at forever. And Naja shared with us last time she had an eating disorder for 11 years, so she knows this topic intimately. We both care very deeply, and I'm knowing that deep healing will occur. So I will have a link that will go out in an email, and you'll just get a cursory email later today, because my team has been working overnight to get that all set up with the right things. There'll be a live option that you could come and be live. That will also entail a media release. Again, to complete registration, there'll be a virtual option for audios only. And if Tuesdays aren't good for you, and there are single pays and split pays and all kinds of choices. So we'll have that going out to you. We'll also share some of the feedback that came, because it just was so heartwarming about what's happened in this last week. But I want to go through it with a fine-tooth comb before I share it all with you, to make sure nobody's told me anything private that I missed, and I don't want to disseminate that. So that's where we are with that. I'm thrilled beyond measure. The reason the email is going to go today before I even have a sales page up or anything is that I'm getting my second COVID shot tomorrow. And just in case anything should happen, I want you to have that information. I will say, this is the operative part, and then we'll stop this soapbox, but we're going to cap the limit cap it for how many people come live. I'm not quite sure it is, but it'll be a little less than what came here. And then however many people want the virtual ones, they can. So if you would like to be in it, and you know that you're meant to be there and you can be there on those Tuesdays, I would sign up right away. I'm going to give everybody here a couple days head start, the folks that participated in the thing last week, and then we'll share it with the wider community. So thank you. And Peter will edit all this little thing out of the videos that you get. But that's the woo. As a matter of fact, what do we know? We know when the energy goes up, the learning goes in. So if you want to come off mute for just a second, there we go. Because you know what we do. It's time. Peter, you might want to cover your ears. On three. Wait. 1, 2, 3. Woohoo! All right. Thank you. I know, kind of an American thing. Smart, Peter, you took those out.
You're Americans, huh?
I know. I know. We celebrate everything. Well, rewiring your unconscious mind. Okay. So now, if you would like to work, you could raise your hand, and I will do my little Wendy way to feel into the energy and see who's popping and who's kind of ready. I'm also curious, I don't know if it's live for you anymore, Deborah, but I'm very aware that I promised you like 3 times out of my mouth last time to work with you, and then it went another way. Oh, great. So you raised your hand. So Deborah, I'd like to hear from you first. If you could come off mute, please.
So Wendy, we have Anthony, Deborah, Annalicia, and Kiara.
Oh, thank you. Oh, great. Okay. Okay, Deborah, you have the floor.
I thank you, first of all. And I had kind of surrendered and released it all. So I'm sure that was a big part of you remembering me. I wanted to say one thing about last week where I talked about being good enough. And I had another epiphany on that statement when I was working with another coaching client, which is, as long as you're looking for outside approval from someone else, you'll never be good enough.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
So, all right. So my situation, which as soon as you called my name, started to surface again, came up last week around when T was working. Mm-hmm. And it's the old thing, like left over from high school, where I always felt like the fat kid, the ugly girl, the whatever, and looking at someone who, for all intents and purposes, is gorgeous and skinny, and she's bemoaning her fate. This is how it occurs to my little child. This is, she's bemoaning her fate, and I'm like, what the hell? Are you kidding? I would cut off my arm to look like you. And all this sort of resentment and crap came up. And when Peter asked her the question, when you stand in front of the mirror naked, do you like what you see? I'm like, holy shit, I would never stand in front of the mirror naked. Are you kidding me? Like, why would I do that to myself? So I know I have like layers of stuff around, and it affects my visibility and my getting out there to do my work, by the way. It's all connected, which then of course leads to money or lack thereof. I have all these layers of not being okay how I am, and that I need to change in order to be accepted, and in order to be in the happy girls club, in order to, there's this, I could just start to cry thinking about it. And it started when I was 10. And up till that point, life was great. And then one day, my parents pulled me into the kitchen and said, you need to go on a diet. And I remember the kitchen whirling around me because I didn't hear anything about nutrition or having an apple a day. All I heard was, you are not acceptable the way you are. You must change in order to be accepted by society. And from that day forward, my life revolved around hiding, not wanting to be seen, being ashamed of who I was. And it's, even though I'm pretty accomplished in my work, it still affects me deeply, especially when it comes to the surface. Like T's work last week brought it totally to the surface.
Yes. Thank you. Well, I'm seeing all these other hands, but if you're willing, it's still live for you right now. And we promised you 3 times last time. Are you wanting to not do all of it? That's a really good awareness, Deborah, that there are many layers, but maybe a 10 to 1, or maybe just see what might be possible that wants to move, that would also create healing. Okay, for others. Thank you. Because I heard really so many juicy things in there that we haven't looked at even yet. Jealousy and envy was in there, which is always an indicator there are things to reclaim. And the not enough, but any of those, I really heard though, again, that theme about hiding. And for you particularly, for those that don't know, Deborah is a powerhouse public speaker. She's an extremely accomplished coach. You're meant to be out in front, right? You're meant to be everything out in front. And these hiding issues and visibility issues are holding back a bit. So Peter, would you be willing to play here? And the others, we heard you, and I will come back to you and I'll ask later, but this time I want to, because it's live for you. Yes. What do you notice, Peter?
Well, hi, Deborah. You're like introducing Wendy and Nadia's program almost.
Right.
My temptation is to almost push you into waiting for that, but as it's here and now.
Well, and actually, Peter, I thought it might, in addition to helping Deborah, that might give people a glimpse of what's possible into that course. Yeah. So we don't need to solve it all, but yeah.
So it feels, I'm really interested in the idea that you've become a public speaker. So you put yourself in a very visible place.
And here's the irony of that. And T and I were actually talking about this. I don't have a problem once I'm out on stage.
Right.
It's walking across the bridge to get there. Once I'm there, I just am shine. I don't think about myself. I'm just totally present and doing my work. But it's the anticipation of going there is where the stuff all surfaces.
Mm-hmm.
That makes no logical sense whatsoever, I know. But yeah, that's where it starts to show up. Like,
so William Shakespeare said all the world's a stage.
Yes,
So,
true.
so when do you go off stage? That's the question. And why do you go off stage?
You know, I'm on stage whenever I'm training or teaching or coaching or whatever I'm doing, which is, you know, 90% of my work.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on stage in front of 2,500 people and didn't have a problem at all. I think this is, I don't even, I think I'm trying to solve this with my head. I go off stage to hide and to not feel the stuff that comes up.
Mm-hmm. So you go,
You know, the feeling
off,
embarrassed or feeling ashamed, or like if I see a picture of myself, I'll feel that way too.
so you go off stage to avoid that, or you go on stage to avoid that?
Well, there's the literal and the figurative, right? So literally when I'm on stage, I don't even think about it. It doesn't come up. And I don't hold back from delivering anything. And I, you know, get rave reviews. But it's the anticipation of going out there, or when I don't want to be judged, I'll go hide.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, for example, and you know, the girls would go out after school to a local joint to get French fries or hang out. I would never eat in front of them because I was too ashamed.
Mm-hmm.
I would never order anything.
Mm-hmm. And this came from that moment of your parents.
Yeah, and I was actually at age 10, I might have been 8 pounds overweight. It wasn't like I was this obese child. I was just a little chubby child who probably would have, through athletics that I did all through my high school and college, would have burned that off. But it was like the merry-go-round was going around and all of a sudden someone put a stick in it, you know?
Yeah. So.
And I feel like I'm the one that puts a stick in it now.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So does it have anything to do with being included and excluded?
Not necessarily. I think it more has to do with being appreciated and being accepted. I've never had a problem being in, well, I don't even think about that. I don't know. I think it's more about feeling like I matter, like I'm making, I'm appreciated for who I am.
Yeah, so we did this work with somebody else around self-worth. And I'm not worth anything. And I'm worth, you know, I have infinite worth. How did that work for you? What happened with you there? Because I think that speaks to what you're talking about now.
You know, Peter, honestly, intellectually, I get it. You know, I could make a case for it.
Yeah.
For me or anyone else, you know, I could write a paragraph about it. But there's still something deep down that's like this hangnail. That's like when you see people fly fishing, it's like it'll catch, it'll pull me back in, you know, pull me back. And I don't even have words for it. So when you were doing that exercise before, and I'd have to go back and really look at my notes, which I took notes on everything. I'm sure I swallowed it all intellectually. But you see, this is the funny thing. I'm not even consciously aware of it. It has to get triggered. It has to be triggered by someone else, you know, or something else that I see, or something that someone says to me. You know, my mother was not kind in her remarks. And I remember one day when I went out of my way to take care of them in their older years. They're both passed now. They were much older parents. My mom was 39 when she had started having kids. And I was walking by my mother on the way to see my father, where he was in their home. And I heard her mutter, and this is, Jesus Christ, is she fat?
Hmm.
And it hurt so bad, but that was something my mother felt like she needed to say. And it was a disruptor for sure, one of many. Of feeling like my mother saw who I was, apart from any physical indication, but really saw my spirit. So to this day, there's been a rupture there.
So it's like, if you're fat, you don't deserve to live, or something like that?
Exactly. Like you're a sloth, you are a second-class citizen. Like, get your shit together already. And you'll really never be who you're meant to be until, you know, you're at your ideal weight. You don't matter until you reach that point. You kind of can make a difference and an impact, but really not totally fulfill anything until you're perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Does anyone else have this? Is this just me?
It's all in the chat. There's so many people.
I'm not looking at the
Yeah.
chat.
So,
but it's-
so let me go back further than 10 years.
Well, that's okay. That's when I was 10 is what they said.
I know.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me go back. Did your parents want you as a child?
Yes, but they wished I was a boy because my father was so intent on the family name being carried on that the first was a girl, I was a girl, then came twin girls. And each time, you know, they were more and more frustrated that they didn't have a boy. They totally wanted me. And I had a really fantastic childhood, you know, in every other way. People would look at my childhood and go, wow, you had an amazing childhood in terms of, you know, the opportunities that we had. And, you know, my dad especially was very generous and gracious in the things he did for us. But it was the subtle remarks that took away from my sense of well-being.
So your mother also wanted you as a child?
Yeah, as far as I know, I haven't ever heard anything to the contrary. Yeah, She had 5 kids. You know, after the boy, she stopped. And she devoted her life to her kids. She did everything for her kids.
How many kids? How many
5.
kids were you? 5. Okay.
Yeah.
So 4 girls and a boy.
Yep.
Right. So in other words, your mother particularly, was your dad worried that you were fat? Not really.
He never said anything to me, but I think
It was more your mother.
he was concerned. But, you know, I wouldn't have been labeled as fat in today's culture for sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, there was a different ideal back then, right?
Yeah.
You know,
But it was more your mother.
Totally. Yeah.
So what was your mother missing in her life?
Well, not to take up too much time, but, you know, her mother came as an immigrant to this country, Catholic. My mother had to give up Catholicism to marry my father, who was Protestant. She was always trying to measure up because my father came from a sort of upper middle class family and my mother came from a working class family. And I'm sure she always felt less than and always trying to measure up. And Ichi, isn't that funny? Look at me now.
Exactly. That's what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been a very loyal daughter.
I have, haven't I?
Yeah. So.
Well, I can be appreciated for that, I suppose.
Well, hold on. Not too quickly. So what your mother was doing was projecting her not measuring up onto you. She didn't feel that she had any chance to measure up.
Yeah.
But if you measured up, then she would kind of have made it.
Yes, I guess that would be accurate.
So-
It would have made up for a shortfall if her kids measured
Yeah.
up.
So in fact, you know, your getting fat was in her eyes, you know, spoiling her chances of making it.
Yeah.
and measuring up herself as a ma.
Mhm.
So I think we can start there. How about just saying, I don't measure up? And it's an interesting phrase. Also for appearance.
I don't measure up.
Uh-huh. How does that come across?
It makes me sad.
Mhm. So you're not measuring up. I think you have a lot of experience of that, of not measuring up. So I don't measure up and I allow myself not to measure up. Imagine.
What was the very last thing you said? No,
I allow myself not to measure up.
I allow myself to not measure up.
Yeah. How does that come across?
Sad but true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not doing it consciously, but yeah, it rings true.
It's true, and you know it very well, but no, I don't measure up, and it's really okay to measure up.
To not measure up.
To not measure up, yeah. It's really okay not to measure up.
I don't measure up, and it's really okay to not measure up.
Yeah. How's that?
Better.
It's really good not to measure up.
It's really good not to measure up.
Mm-hmm. Where are you in your body right now? What's going on?
I'm feeling sort of opening up in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So you've been
wanting to sit up straighter.
yeah.
Yeah.
So all this shame and this hiding is all this exhausting ambition to try and measure up.
So fucking exhausting.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's depleting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It robs me of my joy.
Yeah, completely.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not measuring up. I don't measure up, and it's really great. I'm not going, just stop trying.
I don't need to measure up, and that's really great.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, fuck it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, fuck it.
It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not measuring up. I don't need to measure up. What am I measuring up to anyway?
Yeah. Well, you're trying to measure up to the image of your mother, of course.
Yeah.
And she was trying to measure up also. That was what her whole life was about, was trying to measure up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she didn't succeed. She died without measuring up.
Oh, but yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. My mother very rarely talked about her feelings.
Yeah, but if you look at it, she didn't measure up for sure.
Yeah.
Because she had it all projected on you and the kids. So she died without measuring up.
Mm-hmm.
So now, this is the wonderful reconciliation. When you don't measure up and she doesn't measure up, then you can have the club together of the club of all those that don't measure up. You can have a not measuring up club.
I was just going to say, we got a big club. And
you got a great big club.
Yeah. Yeah. Of the not measuring uppers.
Yeah. And it'll be wonderful. Look at all the hands going up and all the stuff of everybody who's trying to measure up.
There's a lot of really nice people there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yuki says, thank you, Deborah. I'm in the club. There's all these people writing, I'm in the club with you, Deborah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm done with trying to measure up.
Yeah.
It's okay not to measure up.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah.
I think we've removed a layer there.
I think we've removed a layer.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what so that's the positive, is being in the club.
One
So
side.
it's one side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the polarity? So the opposite is when you measure up.
Yep.
So how would you know when you measure up?
I only know when people give me feedback,
So when the audience claps.
or when I get a review from someone or a testimonial. Yes.
Okay. So try saying, I measure up whether I get a review or a testimonial or not.
There you go. I measure up whether I get a review or a testimonial or a standing ovation or not.
Exactly. So imagine what freedom you have now. You can go on stage and you can do absolute bullshit and the audience can hate you and you know you're measuring up still.
Well, that's a pretty picture.
Yeah. So you,
Yeah, I have to let that one trickle down. See what else that hits on the way down. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, okay. There's nothing like messing up in front of 2,000 people.
Absolutely.
You
And
can
enjoying it
or go home.
and knowing that you're not messing up. I mean, that you are measuring up, actually, whatever they think. Whatever they think, you're measuring up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, having that like inner certainty.
Yeah, I gotta work on that. I mean, I think that's a work to continue.
Yeah.
It's the inner certainty part,
Yeah.
I've never bombed on stage, to be honest. But it's the idea of it.
And that's what makes you so nervous before going on stage.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Because you don't allow yourself not measure up when you're on stage.
I allow myself to either measure up or not measure up when I'm on stage. Both.
Do you? Oh, but this is what you're saying now. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying now.
Yeah, great.
That's what I'm claiming now.
Yeah, great. Great.
There's so much in that. May I try another positive polarity that might be
Go
on a
ahead.
little, okay. This is a different, I'm suspecting this is one to just percolate or marinate in, Deborah, later. What happens when you say, I measure up whether or not I look like T or I'm that size people?
Oh yeah, great.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. You heard me for everybody. Well, that settles in for a second. Just let that be. Everybody else has heard me talk, and Deborah, you've heard me talk, I think, on Zooms about, I love where Peter just went about what was your mother missing in her life and the loyalty, aren't you loyal? So we explore in the small group coaching all the time, the loyalty to usually the same sex parent and these unconscious bonds and where we'll hold ourselves back because they were projecting. But I love I mean, Peter just made it so much more clear in just a couple of sentences. And mom was projecting her not measuring up onto you, and you're a little kid, and we pick that stuff up and we love our mom and we want to be loyal. And so then we adopt that whole thing and then we think it's ours and we run that programming and we go through life like that. We're like, why am I living this way? Because there's this unconscious deeper bond to be loyal to mom. And you think you're not loyal if you surpass her because you are aware she would have been jealous and pissed off somewhere. So each of these reclamations reveals where these hidden ropes are, these hidden tethers. And when we release them, your mother's free, even if she's passed away, and you're free, and there's possibility. So this piece around, I loved that. I just love, that's a hell of a question, everybody. I invite you to write that down. What was missing in your mother's life? What was missing in your father's life is a way to look and see what might be needing to be reclaimed. And I love this because measuring up, as you said, Peter, fits for body and all these things, but it's in every arena, right? So you could mine that one reclamation for gold in your head with how many different contexts. I don't measure up at work. I don't measure up in my marriage. I don't measure up as a parent. And just that same one. And then you could have myriad other positive polarities based on the context. So that was one I hadn't thought of before. And I'm like, ooh, I'm going to be running with, I don't measure up like a kid with a ball. You know, how many places, the Easter egg, how many places can we put that one, right?
Yeah.
And reclaim and find freedom.
I'll
Yes,
give you
Deborah? Yeah.
another dimension of that, of how it shows up for me. If I'm not going to measure up anyway, what the hell? Just eat what you want.
Absolutely. And what
No?
you'll find
Yes.
is that you eat what you want and you'll get slimmer.
What?
Well, you will when you don't have that pressure.
Oh,
I mean, it's a balance, right? Because there's a tiny little sidebar, but there's a story that I heard or I read in a book on this, that parents came with a child who overate and wanted to eat sugar all the time. And they'd been to every doctor and they were really worried. And she was little, 8 or 7 or 8 or something. And this smart therapist said, yeah, what's her favorite food? M&Ms. Okay, go home, fill a pillowcase with M&Ms and give it to her and let her eat as many as she wants, whatever she wants. And the parents were horrified, but she did it. And this little girl dragged this nasty, dirty pillowcase on the ground behind her full of M&Ms for about a day and a half. And then she just set the bag somewhere and she went and watched TV with her brother and she was done with it. She didn't, because she wasn't resisting it anymore, you know? So there'll be more to discuss on this issue later, but I caught where Peter was.
yeah.
How are you doing? How are you feeling?
But I'm feeling better until you ask that nasty question. But
I know. But see, now you can ruminate on the, yeah.
But here's what's fascinating about it is because stuff comes up in different contexts in different ways. So, yeah, you know, the whole body thing and, you know, I don't measure up when I see someone like T, that's a whole separate issue from being out on stage. You know, it's just, they're connected for sure. But it comes up in a different way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry if that was a little too raw. I circled back because that's kind of where we started.
Oh, totally.
And then it went this other way, which is very valuable. And then it's like, well, then you might marinate with that one and then see what might. And you also have no idea how many people you just helped
Okay,
by
great.
being so brave right here.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I thank you and feeling the need to pass the baton. So
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
We're curious to know what came up for you, what arose for you with Deborah's work. Did anything go, oh my God, that's mine?
Yeah.
Is any, Annalisa? Go ahead.
It's Annie. I'm on my.
I thought so.
On my
Okay.
real computer.
I thought so. Okay.
Oh, Deborah, I love you, because that was so perfect from what I left off with. And some of just these small things that popped into my head over these last few days, you know, about the worth. And I am worthy, and I'm realizing how worthy I am, whether they give me kudos or not. And I started thinking about all of these little things that have happened in my life that are, you know, so clear in my mind. But I go and I look back and I'm like, Annie, that was one moment in time. And yes, it scarred you at 10 when the boys sang, she's got Annie Martin thighs. But the craziest thing is, I have seen 2 of those boys from 5th grade in the last 3 weeks randomly. Haven't seen them in 30, 40 years. And I was so excited to see them because it was like, oh my gosh, you're from 5th grade. I'm treating the daughter of a kid that I, you know, grew up earlier with that lived around the corner that was a part of those boys that sang that song. And I was so physically sick that my grandmother came to pick me up from school and I couldn't tell her. I had an upset stomach. And I think about all of these little snippets in my life that are just snippets. And it's starting to free me.
Oh, honey.
I'm so grateful for you and for T introducing me through our exercise program. And I've been working on this shit for a long time and I've gotten nowhere near the results that I have right now. And everybody is just so helpful. And Deborah, you are my hero, because the whole weight thing, I could go on and on, but I won't. But thank you. And I'm so grateful for what is coming up in the next 9 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, sweetheart. Thank you.
So much.
And I'm going to say because I know we got to speak with you last time, but I think that part was in the chat and not live. So I'll say there's a famous song, which might be American, I don't know. She's got Betty Davis eyes, but they said she's got Annie Martin thighs. And so what a wounding thing when you're a little fifth grader, right? Like what? And for you to now meet them, like look at life and the synchronicity and the gift 30, 40 years later to put them in your life and they go, hey, and you're happy to see them. That
and
is,
I actually look better than some of them.
yeah.
Which made me feel pretty good.
Wow. Oh, honey, thank
Yes,
you.
thank
Oh
you.
my God. Thank you. Who
all.
else was that? Christine, did you raise your hand? Yes, on this. What came up for you with Deborah's work?
When Deborah was talking about not measuring up, I grew up with this very severe stutter, like not this cute little, but like in high school, I remember like sometimes like 1 or 2 minutes, nothing coming out, just totally blocked. And so there was always this thing like, and I was smart and I got good grades, whatever, but it was like, well, I can't even order what I want at a fast food restaurant. So I'm not okay. And then actually more or less stopped stuttering in my early 20s. And I started learning a bunch of languages, partly because I could, but French, I learned French when I was young, and I was actually speaking French like a month ago in this international group I'm in. And I started like the hard stuttering I haven't done in years. And I know that there's something connected with so French people are even less tolerant of stuttering than Americans are. So in a way, it was kind of traumatic to be there stuttering. And I think there was this thing like, well, if I learn languages and I don't stutter in them, I'm proving I'm good or something. But there's all this stuff around that. And the irony is like, I barely stutter anymore, but there's this stuff still in here.
I'm curious, Peter, because since you're also trilingual, at least trilingual, you may know speak more languages, but you know more about French and all of these.
Alors,
go ahead.
Alors, on veut parler français?
Oui, bien sûr.
Okay. Excuse me, everybody else. Alors, je veux animer ce stutter. What stutter in French?
C'est le verbe c'est bégayer, bégaiement.
Bégayer.
La personne c'est bègue. Je suis bègue.
Je suis bègue, okay. But you're not stuttering right now.
Non, pas du tout. Normalement, je ne bègue pas, mais quand il y a une situation plus pesante, disons.
Yeah, so it's like a situation which weighs upon her, then she starts stuttering in French. But you don't, when you have it in English, it doesn't weigh upon you? A situation that weighs upon you, you don't stutter? It's
like basically, it's still there. Like even, I mean, if we talked for half an hour, I would notice a bunch of little ones you wouldn't, but when I'm stressed out, it definitely comes up more, but it'll come up more in, I mean, it tends to come up more in French than in other languages. And I speak 6 other languages. Right now I'm learning Portuguese. There's no tension. The people are very supportive. So and then also when I'm learning, like when I start learning a language, it's like, it all comes back because I'm trying to do it right. And it's like, I'm trying to prove something that's kind of what I keep coming up with the languages. It's like I'm trying to prove that I'm okay because I wasn't for so long because I couldn't order a freaking hamburger. So
this has to do, so you're just resonating with this measuring up.
Yeah.
Really. So what did these phrases do with you? This is the question. When you say, I don't measure up, and maybe try saying it in French and see where it goes in French.
I'm not sure. Let's see. Je ne suis pas assez. It's
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
what je ne
Yeah.
suis pas assez. Je ne suis. It's hard. Je ne suis pas assez. Je ne suis pas assez. Oh, keep my eyes open, right? Je ne suis pas assez. Je ne suis pas assez.
Is it okay?
Je ne suis pas assez. Je ne suis pas assez.
Et c'est dingue. Et c'est dingue.
Je ne suis pas assez.
Et c'est
Ah.
dingue. Et c'est dingue.
Wait. Je ne suis pas
Say
assez.
it.
Whoa.
Et c'est-
Je suis dingue.
Je suis pas assez et c'est dingue.
Je suis pas assez. Et c'est dingue. Je suis pas assez. Et c'est dingue.
You
Je suis-
understand the meaning, right?
Yeah. Je suis pas assez. Et c'est dingue. Je ne crois pas, hein?
No, you don't have to believe it. You
Je ne
just
suis pas
well,
assez. Je ne suis pas assez.
et c'est
Et c'est
dingue.
dingue.
Yeah,
Je ne suis
it's
pas assez. Et c'est dingue.
So what she's saying for everybody else, she's saying I'm not good enough and it's really cool.
Je ne suis pas assez et c'est merveilleux.
Mhm.
Je ne suis pas assez et c'est merveilleux. Je ne
Just
suis pas
imagine.
assez et c'est vraiment super.
Oui. You don't have to
That's
try
better.
and prove anything. You just, c'est pas nécessaire to prove anything. There's nothing to prove. You're just not good enough, and that's fine.
Well, and that is something that's occurred to me as I keep learning all these languages. Like, there's like I will never know everything in any language. Like, I don't even really know anything in English. So it's
Right.
it's almost comical to even be trying to prove it using
Yeah.
language.
Yeah, so I imagine what's happening, I don't know if this is right, but I imagine you get to a certain level of proficiency in one language, and then you start again with the next language.
That's exactly what's happened. That's why I've got 6. But it's a pretty high. I mean, it's a pretty high. It's like 85%. It's a pretty high level of proficiency.
Yeah.
The exception was German. I got to about 50% with German,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
and that got me interested in Dutch. So I stopped German and I learned Dutch instead.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah, so you want to prove that you're not really good enough.
It's like, oh well,
By
like,
starting the next language.
like in this language, I'm almost good enough, so I better stop that
But,
and
yeah,
new-
start the next one to show that you're ready, to really prove to yourself that you're not good
Oh
enough.
my God, that's hysterical. That is so.
So now you don't need to learn any more languages because you know that you're not good enough anyway. So
Well,
it's fine.
there was this. So this is funny. So I learned 5 in my 20s, and there was a thing I didn't know this was going on, but I actually, when I was 28 or something, I decided to stop learning languages because I was spending so much time. When I do it, it's very intense, and I just thought, well, I need to do other things, but because otherwise, I just sort of had this feeling I'm going to learn one language a year, and it was, but that's what was driving it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, awesome. See,
So you see,
my niece is good.
the real problem is you're just too good.
That's awesome.
You're so good that you're learning these languages too quickly. So you've got to, after you've got proficient, you've got to get back into the next one to show that you're not good enough, and
Right.
etc.
Because I'm really not good enough.
Yeah, but you're really brilliant, of course, at learning all these languages. So
That's completely awesome.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank
But
you.
we're not done with you yet.
We're-
We're not
okay, good.
finished.
All right,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So I'm not good enough is on the one side. So what's the other side? I'm good enough, or I'm too good? I'm good enough. Let's say I'm good enough.
I'm good enough. Should I do it in French?
Yeah, okay.
Je suis assez.
Yeah.
Je suis assez.
And how would you tell, comment est-ce que tu sais que tu es assez? How do you know that you're good enough? How would you judge?
Si les gens me disent que je suis bon, c'est stupide, mais c'est ça qui.
So she knows she's good enough when the other people tell her that she's good. So, you know, with this pattern, you've experienced nobody will ever tell you you're good enough, that you're good. There'll be nobody really. Nobody will be able to tell you you're good in a way that will ever satisfy you. You will always find, you know, they'll say that you're good, but they'll say, hey, Christine, look at your haircut, or something like that, at the same time as they say you're good, or your shoes are the wrong color, or you know, what's happened to your nails. So that,
well, that's why, and as you say that, I'm realizing that's why languages are so great, because I can have a near perfect accent and have a great vocabulary and do everything, and then someone says, oh, that's actually masculine, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
that's right.
I'm so bad. There's so many places where you can make mistakes, so so they're great.
So you never get that acknowledgement you're looking for, the final acknowledgement you're looking for. So
yeah.
So the phrase is, I'm good enough, whether, you know, whether I'm told that I'm good or not.
I'm good enough whether I'm told that. Je suis assez, même si les gens ne me disent pas.
Oui,
si les gens
disent, je suis assez, que les gens disent. Que, how do you would say that? I'm not, my French is not good enough. So let's hear yours.
Mais,
je suis, whatever people say. How do you say that in French?
N'importe quoi? Non.
N'importe que les autres disent.
N'importe ce que les autres disent. C'est
Voilà.
ça. N'importe, je suis assez, n'importe ce que les autres disent.
Yeah.
Je suis assez, n'importe ce que les autres disent.
How does that feel?
Je suis assez, n'importe ce que les autres disent. Je suis assez, n'importe ce que les Français disent. Ça, c'est important.
It's even more, yeah.
Je suis assez.
N'importe.
N'importe ce que les Français, les Allemands, les Brésiliens, n'importe qui disent.
Yeah.
Je suis assez.
Let's just see, how does that feel?
It feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Fuck the frog.
And now we'll just go back for a second. Je ne suis pas assez.
Je ne suis pas assez.
Et c'est vraiment dingue.
Et c'est vraiment dingue. Like, okay, c'est bien, oui.
Okay.
Je ne suis pas assez et c'est vraiment dingue. Oui.
Very good. Very good. So you can tick that one off. You're done. Write down the phrases to make sure that.
I'm going to listen to this recording 20,000 times, and best of all, it means I don't have to learn Russian. So thank you.
And I'm just curious what you're going to do now when you stop learning languages. That's really going to be exciting. Your next career.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, the irony is, like, what everything I think of uses the languages. So that's, you know, it's helpful, but it's the languages I feel the languages are a way to communicate with people rather than a way to try to prove myself. So it's.
Yes. So you've got 6 languages there. I mean, you may not need to learn anymore. So then it'll be very interesting what you decide to do. I mean, you might be giving tantra classes or something like that in Russian.
Da.
I mean, who knows where your life is going to go now?
Thank you. Merci, merci,
Okay.
merci. Une fois.
Pleasure. Plaisir.
Wow. Just to watch the affect change, Christine. We could see it even when we didn't know. I mean, some of us have zero French, some have a little bit, but it didn't matter because we could see the whole thing happening. And people were also translating in the chat, which is very nice. But we could see the shift, the energetic shift is so evident. So I think it's kind of perfect on an English speaking set of audios that we had that little bit in French, because you can watch it even if you don't know what the words mean. Precisely what happened there. You're like, wow, she's never going to be the same. So that
Yeah.
was.
I feel like I was hit by a truck in a good way.
Great.
Wow. I'm curious, should we see if anybody else had from the
Yeah,
I don't
we're
measure up
still-
statement?
That's right. We're still with
Deborah's.
Deborah's not measuring up. Yeah.
Yeah. So anybody, and I'd love to hear from someone who hasn't worked yet. So I'm going to actually go to gallery view, and you can wave your hand like this so you don't have to lower your other hands. But let's see if you can wave at me if you had something arise with that statement. Okay, there's Lisa. I'm wondering if there's anyone that hasn't spoken up yet. But that's all right. We're going where the energy is. Okay, so Lisa, what occurred for you, sweet thing? Could you come off mute?
I definitely will come off mute. The worthy thing with language, without language, with Deborah about measuring up, it was everything. I don't like to say this, but when I was growing up, my family was the only Black family in all Jewish neighborhood. And we were kind of considered integration with all the schools and things like that. And I was always told that you won't measure up. You will always have to work harder, do more because of who you are.
Mm.
And people really may not be interested in what you have to say all the time. So most of my life, Wendy, I've been more quiet. Probably the last 5 years, I'm vocal.
Which I love.
So that's what happened. So when we talk about not measuring up, it's like I do things, I get projects going, and then all of a sudden it feels like it's like, yeah, that's okay, but you need to be more, you need to do more, or we're not going to do it, or something like that. So it's always been pretty challenging. And one of the things I did do recently is I did my human design, and I carry the incarnational cross of the unexpected. So no matter what happens, I have to shift, because it doesn't allow anything for me to land and stay and actually hold on to. But listening to Peter today with about I am worthy and saying you'll never be worthy enough for anybody, to Deborah and to Christine, I got it. It's got to be an inside out job.
Yes, it does.
And so I can't tell you all the things that haven't gone through or worked. And so what I do is say, well, that didn't work. Well, let's see, let me try this. That doesn't work. Who can I call? That doesn't work. Who can I learn from? You know, I have to tell you, Wendy, your coaching calls come in at the time of almost internal crisis. And it's like, oh my God, that's a good new tool. Okay, let me try it.
Well, I'll own that. I am the seeker of every tool. That's the dog with the bone, and I'm going to bring it. Thank you. And I'm curious, Lisa, I heard a little spot in there when you were saying, when you say the statement, I don't measure up, and it went to all the projects that you don't finish. What do you know about that? Like, so we each had a different way, right? Deborah had her way of I don't measure up, Christine, languages. So for you, that arose in you and you're like, oh yeah, only Black family in a Jewish neighborhood. I got told this as a kid. Nobody will want to hear what I say. And you're feeling now that you have this, what's the thing you notice about not able to follow through with this feeling of I don't measure up? Was there anything in
the-
that?
Well, I think when things don't work out, it's me going back to the part I don't measure up. When things fall apart, when things, how would I say it? It's almost like if I say anything at all, it's like I don't cry a lot. I don't do emotions a lot because there's so many things on top of so many things. I have to keep going. And if I fall apart, I won't be able to keep going. And sometimes it's absolutely devastating. So I'll just go to sleep and say, okay, tomorrow will be another day. Let me see what I can do. And sometimes I just say, all right, maybe I do the spiritual bypass.
Mhm.
I send energy to it and say, okay, if this is supposed to work out, it will. If it's not, it won't. And I have to go do something else. And like, just even right now, my husband and I are basically holed up in a house because we trusted somebody to do something for us and they totally betrayed us. And in order to keep our house, we can't leave. So it's like we thought we were doing what was right, and all of a sudden it failed again. And it's like, I don't want, maybe I don't want any more massive failures. Maybe it's, I don't measure up. I'm not sure, because everything that I wanted to do to even bring in money, things would go wrong. So if Peter wants to talk about massive failures in terms of going forward and being worthy and measuring up, I've always looked at it in terms of sort of your financial worth and what you're able to do and how powerful you are.
Cool. And Peter may have a comment here. I'm just having a notice for the community for a couple of things. One of the things we know is that when you reclaim, like brushing your teeth, except all day, you're just noticing, there's one, and we reclaim. Then, as he has said, a couple things happen. We don't have such permeable boundaries. So when we reclaim the negative ones, there's a concentrating factor and we're able to be as badass as we need to be in the moment. That's one flavor, so we can protect ourselves. But this thing you were just speaking about, Lisa, about the blind spots, my understanding is, and correct me if I'm mistaken, Peter, but the more we reclaim, then we don't walk in and we're not as blind. And I've been the queen of bad blind spots, right? Because I was disowning so much about my parents and I didn't want to see it. And I kept attracting those people and then getting into not good situations, right? Being betrayed or whatever. So this is a beautiful thing for you to be at this place, even to notice, Lisa, right? Like, okay, right? And the way out is reclaim. Every single thing that bugs you about the people that betrayed you and now in your house, and you can't go have your plate, you feel trapped here. I would reclaim all of that, right? I am trapped. I get screwed over. I'm betrayed, all the things and the positive ones. So that's the first thing that landed as you were just speaking. The second thing was you those statements arose with Deborah. I don't measure up. And you notice that emotion arising. You don't do a lot of emotion, but you notice that arising. And then you make that mean something. And now I forgot, like, it's so when I don't measure up, you notice that you don't measure up when things fall apart. And then the next place you go is give up, right? So right after I don't measure up is I give up. I bail because there's no point anyway. I think I heard that in your narrative, and I'm interested in, as we all continue this process and we reclaim, they have little branches, right? There's little, there's that, and then I make it mean that, and they're kind of overcoupled and they happen really fast. And so what we're seeing here, everybody, is a way to undo big chunks of programming, habitual, like you've heard me say so many times that you've got a row of dominoes, and often the first one goes down and all of a sudden you end up over here really fast. And what we're always doing is consciously making a little space between those dominoes. So maybe if the first one falls over, it doesn't kick the whole train. And so I'm seeing newly in this moment a way that we can reclaim and create space between those dominoes and undo not just one thing at a time, but habitual patterns of things. Peter, did I get any of that wrong? Did I go, just let me know if that lands for you, if that makes any sense.
No, what you're saying makes perfect sense. And sometimes with the reclamation work that we're doing, there is sometimes a tendency to want to reclaim too much too fast. So
Oh.
I do want to also say, you know, don't overdo it. Give yourself time for each thing to integrate well first, one after the other, because otherwise you can get kind of mental indigestion, if there is such a thing, that you can get total confusion by being greedy with this. Don't get greedy with it.
Keep talking right here, because I haven't heard this at all. It's a very helpful insight. So I heard your sentences, but would you, if you got a story to back that up, or I mean, any more you want to give us about that? Because I want this to really land with everybody, because I tend to be highly greedy, and that's okay.
But also,
that's okay. And
okay, but for me also, one of the things I want to say is that it affects financially. It's like you're just barely getting by because of each type of things. You're trying to do things in the right way, and because of the old energies, it doesn't allow the success to come through.
Okay, so I'd love to go further. Is this an appropriate moment to go in further into this with you, Lisa? I have a feeling there's something there which I haven't quite caught on yet, but I have a feeling there's a part of you that you know, that Wendy talked about, your kind of resignation. And there's another side that I heard, which is like giving it up to God when you resign. You know, it's like,
Yes.
this is beyond me. Let God look after this.
It's true. Sometimes it's because I have nowhere else to turn. I have no one else to talk to. And I don't want to, I'll say, burden anybody else. It's like, okay, this is my evolution. What is it?
Well, so there's I get it. There's some sort of solace in this, and there may be even some kind of wisdom. But I have a feeling that with what we're doing right here, we have a further path that you can choose, other than resignation or handing it up to God. So I'd like to have a little bit more information around why you have to be in this house and what you stand to lose if you're not in the house. Or there's something there which I'm not quite following yet. What's the story with the house?
The story is with the house is it was my husband's house, and we ended up in a lawsuit with his family. And in order to pay for the, oh gosh, would you say the attorney and everything like that, we had to mortgage the house. The house was free and clear, and we had to mortgage it. And right now, Peter, I'm going to say we're going into year 5. So we've had to remortgage it a couple times, and we've been working on, how would I say it? You want to talk about sort of failure? We had one contractor that we had totally vetted. He said he could help us get everything ready so we could rent the house. He turned out gaslighting us, and it was very bad. And it started going downhill from there. And so every time we tried to find people to work with, we got further and further behind. So this last time we were almost getting ready to go into pre-foreclosure, and our, what do you call it? Our broker said, oh, I have a way to do it. I have somebody who wants to work on a project. He wants to, he really would like to get your house up, and we can get a higher appraisal. You can refinance it. You can get a lower rate. I can get you out of that horrible loan I got you into. 2.5 weeks ago, we met with the investor, and we had worked with him before. We had a loan out with him before, and it had gone into escrow. And so we thought it was the same type of thing. This time he said, and I won't do anything at all. I won't invest. I won't do anything unless I see the deed. My husband took the deed over to him. The next day he recorded it, and he took the house. We didn't find out for 2.5 weeks. And when I found out, because he kept saying, get out of the house, get out of the house. We need you to get everything cleared out so we can remodel it. He had told all my neighbors that he had the house. And I found out the day he came with the moving truck. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm a mediator. And I sit down with people. We sit down, write down the talking points. We create an agreement. It's signed, it's notarized. You can go to an attorney if you want. And I said, I don't have the deed. I don't have an agreement. And you took my house and you're not coming in. And I slammed the door.
So, okay, thank you. Thank you for this information now. So did you want to rent the house out and live somewhere else? Or is this the
This house was a house that we were going to use. We had a gentleman we had found who has Airbnbs, and he goes around and he literally leases your house for a year, and he takes care of everything. And that's what we wanted to do.
And where would you have lived?
We have another place that we're staying at right now. This was supposed to be the way in which we could afford the end till the end of the lawsuit, and also pay off the mortgage that we had to take out to pay for our attorney to defend us in the lawsuit.
I see. So this was a financial, the house was a financial solution.
Correct.
So, because the question I was going to ask you, and I still ask you, it comes from your husband's family.
Yes.
Do you love the house?
Oh, it's a special house. We kind of left it for a while, and then we came back and said we need to, and I know you're going to love this word, reclaim the house and put it into use again.
Do you love it?
Yes. Actually, what happened, Peter, being forced to be here, I realized how much I did love the house. Even I can't leave it, so it's like I got to reacquaint myself and reclaim what this house was.
What about the other place where you would live? Do you love that?
No, but that's actually being it's in trust right now, and it's part of the lawsuit that we're working to pull out.
So you don't love that place?
We would have to we do a lot of work with it right now.
Yeah, but you don't. I'm asking a sort of very basic question here, and the reason I'm asking is that the financial and the legal situations, and maybe this is interesting for everybody, are always secondary. So,
okay.
So what you really love cannot be taken away from you.
Oh my gosh, I've never heard that before.
So, I heard a saying which I loved about 30 years ago, and it's so true. If you love something, give it away. If it comes back, it's yours. If it doesn't, it never was. And, ownership has to do with the soul. Now, this is not what any lawyer will tell you. They'll tell you it has to do with title deeds, and it has to do with what you paid for it and so forth. But actually, ownership has to do with your soul and whether you're filling your house with your soul. And if you fill anything that you call owning with your soul, it can't be taken away from you.
Wow.
This is actually how reality works. So I don't know if
Please
anybody...
keep talking. Keep on this riff a little more, because I've never heard you say it. You're opening hearts and minds. Please.
Thank you, Wendy.
Please.
So everybody take a look. I'm just going to put myself on another view here. Can you say a few words? Oops. Can you say a few words, Wendy?
Yes.
Just so that I can see you in full.
Oh, yes. In full view. Here I am. Can you see me on your screen? Are you in speaker view now?
Oh, yeah, I am. No.
Okay, I'll keep talking. I don't know if I'm appearing for you.
Yeah. Can you show me your hands or something? No, I was looking for... Are you wearing any jewelry?
Wendy, I am not.
No, you're not.
Because it makes sound in the...
Okay.
Okay.
So I was just looking for that, because very often, you can, if you look at somebody and they're wearing like an important watch or an important necklace or something, you can see that that belongs to them.
Huh.
And there's no question of that belonging to anybody else. You can be sure that that can't be stolen. And you know, I'm sure everybody's had experiences. You see, some people leave their houses open, they don't lock them. And nobody comes in and takes anything or steals anything. And there are other people who own properties galore and have security guards and God knows what, and they get robbed all the time. And there is really irrational, it looks irrational and it's not 100%, but it seems to me pretty, there's sufficient evidence for me that the answer is love. It's like when you love something, you fill all the space with your soul. It's like you're ensouling the place. And then whatever anybody chooses to do, there's no question around it. Now, if you, on the other hand, are projecting power into things like money and into title deeds, then you're losing part of your power to the lawyers and the title deeds. And when they come and take your house, it's because you've lost that power, because you're not focused on filling the place anymore. And then it'll look as if the title deeds are so important. But actually, the title deeds are no more than just a piece of paper. Like a banknote is no more than a piece of paper. And so it depends what you're projecting actually onto the things outside yourself, in this case, title deeds. Or, you know, like shareholdings. Well, how do you know that you own a shareholding? It's just another piece of paper. And you probably don't even know, you know, nowadays it's not even a piece of paper. And you don't, if you ask, okay, how do you know that you've got a shareholding in Apple? Who's going to tell you where your share is? I mean, you know, but if you're projected and everybody's projecting in the same way, then you have this image and you have this feeling, and it gets sort of reinforced into a sort of conviction. And this is the way it works. So, you know, at the moment, you're kind of ensouling your house by sitting in it, Lisa, and sort of squatting almost.
Yes. Yes, I think you're right. I mean, I've been trying to make nice meals in here. I've been trying to return back to the feeling that we used to have with it. So I guess Peter, you're so right. But also the other part is that I still need to bring money in to support this house, because to finally break free of everything. I think you've opened me up, you've split me wide open, telling me that it's what you put love into is what is yours. It's what you ensoul. And I do believe, Wendy, would this be true? Would that be your business? Would that be who we are and what we do in the world as well?
Yeah, well, yes. And now I have more questions. That you just changed the planet with this last few paragraphs, Peter. I've got so many fireworks going off in my head. Never heard this before. It's so glorious.
Yes. Thank you.
May I ask the not to be a complete non sequitur, but may I ask the burning question in my head of all the other ones, the top of the list right here, Peter,
Yeah.
on this? Yeah. So how does that compare, or how does that relate to not loving your body, given that's going to be an upcoming thing? Because I'm looking at there's so many things here. So at first you were infusing it into physical objects like a piece of jewelry, and then you went to the shares. So it's the soul, all the love is, and the ownership is fully in a thing, whether it's animate or not animate. But I'm really interested in bodies, because I don't know about Europe, particularly in America, women, generally speaking, hate the hell out of their bodies. And there's not a lot of love there. And there's a lot of projecting. And so I'm quite curious about, and then of course, you know, they have the ancillary thing. So sexual abuse history. So many people, so growing up and never having a feeling of ownership of one's own body, you know, until adulthood, right? So this is a common theme, at least around the people that I attract into my world. But I'm wondering if you have a sentence or two about that, like what else about that and not projecting it out.
Well, I'm sure you'll be doing a lot of work on that with Nadia.
Yep.
But of course, it applies to the body as well. To fully love your body, whatever shape, size, whatever your body is. I remember seeing a story. I forget his name now. It's an English guy, teacher, wisdom teacher who lives in Australia. I remember seeing a video of his where he was telling his story where he had ailments all through his body and was completely paralyzed. But his left shoulder was okay. And all he did was focused on his left shoulder and said, thank you, thank you, thank you, my left to the left shoulder, which was okay. And was really just focused on loving his left shoulder. And you know, within time, his whole body was completely healed. So I'm sure, you know, love, I mean, it's a cliche, but I'm sure it's much more than a cliche. This is much more than a cliche. Of course, if you're not friends and you're not loving your body, this has consequences, of course. It's extremely, extremely profound. But it applies, you know, it applies to, let's be frank, it applies to everything. I mean, it applies to the work we're doing, to the things we're doing. And, you know, it's kind of cliche, and you can't love things you don't love. I mean, you can't, because it's very unloving to yourself to try and love things that you don't love. So you know.
We need more right there, please. You just went into, that's a whole other thing. It's because we've got the one side. So it's really unkind and unloving to try and force yourself to love things that you don't, which is, again, my trip all the time on spiritual bypass, where you're trying to talk yourself into this virtuous thing, and it's disingenuous and all of that. Would you just say a little bit more, please, about this, how unloving it is?
Yeah,
what does that look like?
If you're feeling hate, you've got to hate as well. And because that's what's loving at the end of the day. I mean, this is the paradox which our minds can't figure out, but where we allow ourselves to do whatever's human. And that is the ultimate love, is that we allow ourselves to be totally human with the whole disco ball. So hating is also part. I mean, if you hate hamburgers, you hate hamburgers. Don't try and love them. Or whatever it happens to be. I'm choosing a bad thing with hamburgers here, but
it's fine. My mind is just blown again. You just open up so many universes with these little pearls that come out of your mouth, and to you, it's quite self-evident. And we're all like, "What?" You know? That's incredible. I had a woman in a group yesterday who I love, who she'll remain nameless, who's here, and she's of great faith, and she said, "Oh, a woman who's always been mean to me asked to come and participate in my very popular class that I teach. And she didn't really want her there. And, but she felt like she ought to, and she's a woman of great faith, and the values that go with that faith say you're always loving and kind. And I said, would you just please try saying, I'm a big old bitch, and I can say no. And it was hard at first, but it really broke all the energy open, and it became fun for her and everyone listening to claim that, oh my God, I can be that? Like, but I'm like, if she comes in, out of you pretending to be nice, you already know what's going to happen. She's going to try and steal your thing, steal your mojo, make you wrong. You're going to take weeks to get back to the place you are now because you'll feel so deflated, right? Like, what? Just tell her no and be a big old bitch about it. And it was quite helpful for everybody. It was a beautiful piece of work, but you're now giving me a whole extra layer of why that's useful, to not try and pretend, not make yourself. I don't know about Europe. This is a very American thing. All the self-help gurus try and put, or at the new thought gurus, right, are trying to do that. You know, your thoughts are things, that's fine and all of that, but you're trying to not tell the truth about how you actually feel about a thing. You're trying to make yourself do it. And this is why I've never been a fan of affirmations that incongruency, that cognitive dissonance on the inside. Like, I'm trying to make myself feel this way. I don't actually feel, and there's so much inauthenticity, and it just gets you all stirred up and not useful. Completely different than reclamations, which are freeing and completely authentic. And I don't even understand why completely, but it just works. I think because it's somatic and the body catches it and it's authentic.
Yeah.
But I have a question, Peter. This is important now because you brought something up for me. If I don't love something, all right, and I say it's okay, and then I find the deeper reason why I don't love it, and there might be a reason why I do love it, but I don't know it, would that not change my relationship with it?
Can you be more specific? What are you talking about?
Wait, hang on a second, Lisa.
Sorry.
You're going into, wait, I'm gonna stop that for a second, because you're going right into your top brain and you're trying to logic and figure it out right there. And we want to keep this group, this is a body thing. And as Peter has told us, this is paradoxical. So if we take this whole room trying to go into the understanding it, we're going to take everybody off trail. So if you're willing to just not, because there's a deep hunger and a curiosity, and that's our tendency innocently to try and go there. Ain't no cheese down that tunnel. Like, to be in the mystery a little bit. Okay. Anyway, you can say anything you want, Peter, but I just could feel that going there.
Well,
and then everybody will be in their head. Yeah.
I was going in the same direction of you by just saying, well, you know, what does this relate to in terms of if there's something concrete there which it relates to, rather than just an abstract question.
Right. Okay.
Thank you. I'm curious, Peter, where would you, to close the loops and or possibly see one other person's issue before we're complete? Because boy, does time speed by. But and this has been so rich. I'm going to be watching this a jillion times or listening to this a jillion times, because truly head blown, right? Mind blown. So many layers to what you shared. The depth of this work continues to astound me and delight me. So anyway, thoughts, Peter, where would you like to
I don't know. I'd just like to double check with Lisa that you're okay right now to leave it here.
Well,
I don't want to go, prolong, but I just want to just check in. I mean, I know that there's all sorts of issues, legal issues and so forth, but
legal and financial. And that's the reason why when you were saying love it, I was wondering, by shifting more towards loving, that some of these things could be resolved, because we are being held, as you said, hostage.
Yeah. So
I say that's okay.
So you're allowing yourself to do that. I think I think maybe this is sufficient. Just stay in this direction, and particularly just enjoy your house and love your house. And when you focus on that, things will tend to start falling into place. When you're worrying about the finances and the legal stuff, you're projecting. I think the projection is power here. So maybe that's where I want to complete it with you.
Thank you.
So so try saying I'm a powerful woman.
I'm a powerful woman.
What happens there?
I felt like I collapsed inside.
In what way? A good way, a comfortable way, or an unpleasant way?
It would be, I'd like to be a powerful woman, but I don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that when I try to be a powerful woman, I'm made to pay for it. I'm punished.
Mm-hmm. So power in that sense is a positive thing for you.
It would be if I were a powerful woman.
You are a powerful woman. So try saying, okay, I'm a powerful woman with and without money.
I'm a powerful woman with and without money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
What happens?
wow. That hurts. That's like, oh, okay. It's, that's missing. I don't believe that for me.
No, you don't have, as you say, as I've
So
explained, you don't have to believe it. Just stay with
Okay.
it. I'm a powerful
I'm
woman
a powerful woman with or without money,
and without money.
and without money.
Yeah, with and without money. And you can do the tapping stuff if you want, like Wendy is showing.
Thank you.
I'm a powerful woman
With or without money. Hold on a
with,
second. Let me put
with
my
and
camera for
without.
you. With and without money. I'm a powerful woman with and without money.
Yeah.
Ooh,
What are you feeling? What's going on?
a little better. A little better. Thank you. I'm a powerful woman with or without money.
Mhm.
And without money.
Yeah. So the focus is here being powerful without money for you, I think, at the moment.
Yes.
So powerful with and without money.
Powerful with and without money.
Mhm.
Whoa.
What's
I
going
never,
on? Yeah.
it just reminds me of my childhood, where as my family always said, you're nothing without money.
Mhm.
And that was the way they had to be, because they were in a very hostile world and they felt that was the only way in which they could survive.
Mhm. Right. To get money in order to be powerful.
Get
And you-
money in order to be powerful. And I'm not going
and
to
keep away that hostility, just like you're doing now.
and keep away that hostility.
Just like you're
when
doing now. I'm just talking.
like I'm doing now. Okay.
Yeah. You get it?
Yes.
So now the phrase is, I'm powerful with and without money. I'm powerful and I'm safe with and without money.
I am powerful and I am safe with and without money.
Mhm.
Whoa. Thank you, Peter. I'm almost breathless.
So keep breathing. And we're not done yet.
I have to write them down for me. I can't.
Okay. So keep your eyes open, Lisa.
Okay.
I'm powerful and safe with and without money. And now we're going into the polarity. So now just say, I am powerless.
I am powerless.
Mhm. And I'm unsafe.
And I'm unsafe.
So how does that feel?
That feels like the biggest fear I've always had.
Yeah, it's what you know, actually. It's your chronic situation.
Yes.
You know that very well, don't you?
Yes.
Say it again.
And it's actually, to a certain degree, that's your comfort zone. You're actually more comfortable being in that than you are being powerful and safe.
Say it again, please.
Yeah.
Somebody
I'm powerless.
Somebody's talking in the background, or is this an echo? I'm
Um,
powerless and unsafe.
I'm powerless and unsafe.
And now, instead of pushing this away, give yourself permission to be powerless. I'm powerless and it's okay.
I'm powerless and it's okay.
Mhm. How does that feel?
Scary.
Okay.
I guess always trying to find a way to empower is always been the goal, but feeling powerless.
Yeah. So you've always been trying not to feel powerless.
Yes.
So now we're moving into allowing you to feel powerless. It's perfectly okay. In many, many, many situations, it's not necessary to have power. It's okay, really, to be powerless and allow somebody else, for example, to have the power. So I'm powerless,
I'm powerless,
and it's perfectly okay.
and it's perfectly okay.
How does that feel?
It feels like a relief.
Yeah. It feels like a relief because you don't have to try and feel not powerless anymore. You can just accept.
I'm
in certain
powerless.
And
I'm
it's okay.
powerless. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah, you get it. So now we're going to say also, we're going to go into this whole question of safety and unsafety. And this is for everybody, and I can see the movement taking place. So I'm unsafe,
I'm unsafe.
and it's rather exciting.
And it's rather exciting. Never
Isn't
looked
it?
at it that way. You almost feel like you're in some sort of game and you're running away from things, and it's exciting.
Yeah, it's adventurous. I mean, if you don't allow yourself to feel unsafe, you'll never take any risk, and you'll never get any excitement in life. So this is the thing about feeling unsafe.
Okay, I'm unsafe. Oh my God.
Oh my God. So I'm powerless and unsafe. Imagine, and this is where you let God do his work to you, or a nice looking man. Could be either. I'm powerless and unsafe, and it's really cool.
I'm powerless and unsafe, and it's really cool. Oh my God. Okay. All right.
So what's going on right now? What's going on in your body?
I guess I'll say the lower half of me is sort of shaking, but it's like laughter shaking. Like it's like,
Great.
I can't believe this. I'm saying this.
Yeah. It's great. That's really very, very good indeed. Just allow that movement to occur, because it's a very good movement. It's like you've been holding that so tight for so many years. You can just allow that to relax now. Powerless and unsafe, and it's great, and it's even exciting.
I'm powerless and I'm unsafe, and it is great, and it's even exciting.
Yeah. And now we'll go back into the original statement. I'm a powerful woman.
I'm a powerful woman.
With and without money.
With and without money.
How does that come across now?
It feels true.
Yeah. That's it. So when you need to be powerful, you'll be powerful, you see? And in other situations where it's not your turn to be powerful, you can just relax and be powerless. You can feel unsafe, and you can take risks, and things will be fine. You'll have fun. So I think that's sufficient for today, Lisa. Is it not? Shall we just leave it there?
Whoa. Wow. Thank you for being unsafe. Thank you, lifetime. Thank you. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Lisa, for allowing us and for sharing where you are. And this gift to us all. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, Wendy.
Yes.
I want to say that just a few minutes ago, I posted in the chat, for me, it's not about, for being seen isn't about that I don't measure up. It's about feeling safe. I would love to address that, following your dreams and not following your dream. Anyway, and here we go. We
And
just,
here you go.
oh my
He
God.
just did it. And I'm glad that came out in that way. See your strong desire, and look what got called forth, because we are about done. I'm feeling my heart is so full. I know I'm not interested in opening up a whole new
No.
something with someone. We
No.
do want to hear takeaways.
Yeah.
And this was really perfect the way it flowed, because Leisha, I'm so happy for you. Because me too, I don't have a bigger issue than safe and unsafe. And so that was like, what? So that's exciting. I'm not able to quite do my usual kind of synopsis thing fully, but some standout pieces that struck me were, that's gorgeous. Don't be greedy. like, like do a reclamation and be with it and let it marinate and try it again and really let it be in the body. And that I'm intuiting, Peter, then that would not have us be like cramming our head full of lots of iterations, but letting the body really catch up. It's also goes back to loving ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a kindness to do
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
so that piece, the piece about the love, and when you truly love something, it can't be taken from you. You put your whole soul, love into a thing energetically. That just completely makes sense to me in my field, in my intuition. And it's a shocker, because I have run around the world gleaning every nugget I can from every place, and I've never heard that before. That's an entirely new articulated idea, Peter, and it's so rich. And then my head went all the places, like, wow, well then where could you put that, or where is the attention on the question being, where am I not loving what I'm loving, and what am I doing instead? And then you brought in beautifully about the projecting. So when we are disowning, not loving, letting ourselves love what we love and hate what we hate, being authentic about it, we're projecting outward then in that moment, thinking that we need something from the outside, for example, to love us, and all those things that are contingent, which are all projections anyway. But when we can find this through the reclamation, which is not a top brain thing, you can't decide it. You can't watch The Secret and decide you're just going to live this way. It doesn't come from there. But this whole reclamation process is a somatic place to touch the deep wisdom of your soul through your body. And things shake out. As we know, he said from the beginning, these are benevolent lies. You don't need to begin by understanding why they work. You don't need to begin to think they're true. You just try it on and keep trying it on and saying it. And actually the vibration of those words, when you feel a phrase clunk in the body and have a reaction of any sort, whether it's the happy one or the horrified one or whatever, that is an indication that, aha, that's a good term for that. So again, I'm not sure that we underlined this in this particular way, but the reclamations will be true and unique for you. Like we might all start with a similar word on one side. And then when you say, for example, what's the opposite polarity? We could line up 40 people and we might get 40 different answers about, right? And so you're looking for, it doesn't need to make sense again to your top brain. They might not even be opposites, but it feels correct for you. And you'll feel something in the body. And then we spend the time letting the body unwind and do what it does until the point that there's no charge anymore. And Peter would say, you can check that one off.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful summary, Wendy. Absolutely marvelous.
Thank you. And there are more probably because I can't, my head is so blown. This is quite unusual for me because usually I have a particular, not concentration, but I have a particular, and a little while ago, I'm like, man, I know that the call needs to end pretty soon because I can hold a container, but I can't speak so cogently very much more because so many paradigms got changed in beautiful ways. And I'm so thrilled that Peter has come to do this with us, and Nadja for the days that she was able to be here. And how lucky are we? Do you understand, everybody, that this hasn't actually occurred in this way? Peter would do hours of reclamations in person, like over a weekend, if you flew to Austria or London or something in the past, pre-COVID. But to the best of my knowledge, I don't know where or when you've ever done this for day after day and hour after hour of reclaiming, maybe, but maybe not in English. I don't know. I begged you in a chat and said, where is it? I'll buy it. I'll pay anything. Where do I get it? And you're like, it doesn't exist. I'm like, well, damn it, let's make it exist. You know.
It's wonderful, your initiative. Absolutely.
Oh,
This is new stuff, the way that you have introduced it, and of course the richness of your community and that you have built in these past years. And once again, credit to you, Wendy, but also to everybody here, because it's impressive how open you are. Because let me just say, if in Germany, if you do this, my experience with live events in German, one has to do an awful lot of explaining before one can, I have to explain so much before there's a readiness even to step in. And I have this experience with you, all of you, that you are really ready to step in. And that is extraordinary. I want to just mirror back my respect for you all and all the work that you have done up to this point to bring yourself to this readiness. It's wonderful, and it makes it much easier for me than I have to do a lot of explaining, I can assure you.
thank you so much. I'm curious to poll the room just for a few. If you want, I'd love to hear, what are you taking away either from today or from the 4 days? Just come off mute and let us know. You might wave into the thing so I can see you.
Hi, this is Elias.
Yes, Elias,
this is
please.
Hey.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hey.
two quick things. So what he mentioned, what Peter mentioned about the love, what you love nobody can take away from you, and don't get greedy with this. So real quick.
Thank you, Elias. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Such a valued member of our community. Who else? What stands out? Sally. Thank you.
What's occurring for me is I'm in the top brain so much, how much this is about being in the body, that it's so, I don't know, I do know. It is something that I have lived in my top brain. It's like I don't have a body. I just have my top brain telling me all this stuff. And when I've really been getting deep into my body, and I do love my body. I love her. And I always say, I love my liver. And, and I put stuff on my face and I go, I love my face. So it is just like this, so rich about the body. That's what I'm taking away. Like, stay in the body. Thank you.
Beautiful, Sally. Thank you.
Yeah.
And who else? What are you taking away?
Leisha.
Leisha.
Hi.
Yes, honey. What's your takeaway?
Just getting more familiar with the polarities and how to guide through this. And then, Wendy, what you just added was that for me, that the polarities, it's not necessarily the opposite.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that just added a whole nother richness to that exploration. So that just landed as a newbie. Thank you.
Thank you, honey. Thank you. Is there anyone else? What are you wanting to say out of your lips? D. Terrell, go, baby.
I just wanted to say that I love how we can be abundant and safe and confident and trust life and just have fun and just have a good time and not just always be on the lookout. Like, what's the next thing going to happen, and preparing for stuff that's going to happen, that we can just be.
Yes, and that's all about returning to the present moment, which is where this lives. And again, as we said at the top, when we're in the future and we're worrying about what's coming, we're projecting, we're not living in the moment. And when we're in the past regretting, we're not in the moment. Those are all projections in all ways. And so this is a practice, a living practice, to be in your body and be in the moment and be expressing your soul's love. And then what contribution might we make? I'm reminded again when Peter said to Christine, wow, because she just unlocked that whole thing and she doesn't need to go learn any more languages and she gets to accept her brilliance of having them all. Wow, well, what might you do now that you don't have to be compelled to do that thing anymore, chase that gerbil wheel, right, of that thing? What might your life bring to the world now? What happiness could be there? So it's quite thrilling. Laura B., I see you came on camera. Did you have something you wanted to say, sweet girl?
I'm really sorry I didn't get to listen to everything. I was in the middle of an appointment, and then I'm glad I got to listen on my drive home. Yes, I was stunned by love and projection of love, that not only are we reclaiming, we're actually capable of manifesting of love and filling it where I want to direct it. And yeah, I really am. I could cry tears of joy just thinking about what the freedom in that. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was
thank
fun.
you. Thank you. Anna, go ahead. You have the floor.
Me? Okay.
Hello, hi everyone.
Oh,
Is it me, Anna?
Oh, I'm sorry. Anna V is in victory. Go ahead. It's Anna. Yeah.
I just have to say that I'm from Hawaii. I'm not very good at surfing, but in the very beginning of this, Wendy said, "Are you willing to ride the wave?" And I got really good at riding the wave because of the work. So I just wanted to share how my takeaway is the power of this work, that you don't have to be in the seat. You can be here and listening. And I have so many takeaways. The whole love thing today is like amazing, and everybody's work. So I just want to say thank you. And I have tools now. I understand so much more and feel like I'm in the driver's seat. I'm actually on a hydro surfboard now, because those are the newest thing, and they go so fast. They ride above the water, and like when I watch people surf on them, I'm like, wow, that is amazing, and that's where I am, and that's what I want to share. Thank you.
I love that. Thank you, Anna. And Nye, in a second, I'm going to ask you for your takeaways. I know you had to come and go, but Ann K., did you have something you wanted to share?
I just want to share how much joy Dee Terrell has brought me through this whole thing. She's had this big smile and laugh on her face. And I just want to share that. You make my heart sing, Dee Terrell.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you. And Naima, my sweet friend, we're just doing quick takeaways now here at the end for anything anybody got over the 4 days or listening to the audios. Anything you want to share with us, because you're bright mind and heart, right?
Well, I just have to say, this is so good, right? I had to jump off, and I said, I don't care if I have 1 minute left on this. I'm going to jump back in because I want every bit of it, right? That's how good it is. That piece that I had to jump off on, and Peter, as you were sharing about ownership, how powerful was that? I mean, that just hit the core of everything, that love. Man, I'm walking away just feeling full. Just thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Naima. Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Last. Oh, Kira, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to share this because I think this is a massive win, right? On Saturday after our call, I had a phone call from a relative who kind of tore through me, which is I was going to say a horrible thing. It is horrible, but it's a historical thing. And I could feel the reaction in my body. I've got really good at feeling how things affect me. But in that moment, I was able to like reclaim as everything was happening. And I was able to turn it around, and actually in the past, my capacity to do that would not have been there because I would have been so shaken, right? But this time I was able to hold the energy that had gone, right? And I go, okay, let's turn this around. And I was able to have a very calm chat or whatever conversation with somebody who was going like that. And I was able to help them to see that what they were doing maybe wasn't like fair and stuff. and that it was a better way. And the person agreed with me. And I just thought, oh my God, you know, this is decades of this stuff. And in that moment, with the tools that I had got over the few days, that was a massive, massive turnaround. So I'm so glad I participated in the 3 days and now the 4 days. Unbelievable. Yeah, no, I'm just like, I know how big this is. Me just saying these words maybe don't convey how big this is to me.
Yeah.
So I hope.
I just want to congratulate you. I want to congratulate you because that's fantastic that you were able to do that on the spot. I mean, this is what I'm training my practitioners to do, of course, to be able to receive this, to go into themselves and then do it. But it's magnificent that you've been able to do this.
Yeah.
And I wish it for everyone. Yeah.
And just to underline it, yes. So thank you for letting us know this here at the end of the call, because you just perfectly modeled what Peter has been describing. So I want to underline this for everybody. So when our projections are living unconsciously on the inside, we don't know that they're there. And so you might not have a symptom for a long time, but under pressure, when you're triggered, they're going to always come out. They're going to come out in a funky way. They're going to come out in a not controlled way. And it's going to, bite us in the butt, basically, right? So what you just demonstrated was the opposite of that. Because we're not trying to go through our life not projecting. We're humans. We're going to project till the day we die. But one of the differences is, are they held unconsciously, which is where they can be really hurtful to us and others, versus consciously. And then it's like letting the pressure out of the pressure cooker, among other things.
Yeah.
But that you just perfectly spoke the difference between how a moment happens in the world when they're held unconsciously, or you've done some work, or you know how to use the tool in the moment in real time and get a completely different result. Did I get that right, Peter? Or
absolutely. And the step further is to actually, what you're saying is so right, because we're projecting all the time and we won't stop projecting. But the art of life is to use your projections consciously to manifest what you want to be manifesting. This is actually what every entrepreneur does, or anybody manifests. What you're doing all the time when you manifest, you start with an idea, which is a projection in your head, and an intention and an energy behind it. And that is a projection. So that's actually how you manifest what you want to manifest in your life. And what happens is that if you're not conscious of your projections, you're still manifesting, but you're manifesting things that you don't want. And you have the impression that someone else or something else outside you is actually controlling you. But actually it's not true. It's just that your projections are unconscious. You're still projecting, but they're just unconscious. And they give you the impression that money or some lawyer or something else is controlling you, whereas that's not true. You're still creating, but you're just unconscious of what and how you are doing this creation. So that's like the final summary of this, maybe.
Well, you just did it again. My head just officially flew off and hit the top of the ceiling. And so, good Lord. So everyone, recommendation, when you get your audios, just keep listening, but listen to this blast bit again. Just phenomenal. There are not words, Peter, to express my gratitude for you to come and do this with my community. It's completely inadequate, anything that I could say, but I know that you're empathic enough and you read energy and you can feel my heart and our hearts.
I can. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you,
my
Peter. God bless.